In this video, we are looking at negative and fractional indices. The first question says evaluate, and it's 16 to the power of a half. The power of a half means square root. So this is the same as square root 16, and the square root of 16 is 4. The reason behind that is that if we've got 16 to the power of a half, and we times it by 16 to the power of a half, when we multiply indices, we add the powers. A half plus a half makes a whole. So that must be 16 to the power of 1, or just 16. So we've got the same number multiplied by itself, and the answer is 16, so it must be 4. So the power of a half is a square root, and the power of a third, for the same reason, is a cube root. So this power of a third means we've got the cube root of 8, which is 2. And again, the reason why, so 2 to the power of a third, no, 8 to the power of a third, 8 to the power of a third, times 8 to the power of a third, times 8 to the power of a third. When we multiply indices, we add the powers. 3/3 make a whole. So we've got the same number times itself and times itself again is equal to 8. It must be 2. This next one, 25 to the power of 3 over 2. So the 2 on the bottom, that's our half. That's a square root. And the 3 on the top, like a 3 in a power. If you've got 2 with a 3, that means cubed. So we're doing two things to this 25. We're square rooting it and we're cubing it. So square root 25 is 5. So that's equal to 5 cubed. And 5 cubed is 125. And question 4, it's 2/3. 3 on the bottom, that's a cube root. And a 2 on the top means square it. So we're cube rooting 27, that's 3, and then we're squaring it, that's 9. Okay, some for you to try, so give these a go. The first one, power of a half means square root. Square root of 81 is 9. 125 to the power of 2/3. So we're cube rooting and squaring. So cube root of 125 is 5. 5 squared, 25. Power of a third means cube root. Cube root of 64 is 4. And then 9 to the power of 3 over 2. So square root is 3. And then cube, 3 cubed is 27. When we have a negative power, it means the reciprocal. It means flip it over. So here we've got minus a half. The half means square root, and the minus is the reciprocal. Flip it over. So we could square root first. So square root the top, square root the bottom. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 81 is 9. We've still got the minus, and that means flip it over. What's the reciprocal of 2/9? That's 9 over 2. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So 4/5 to the power of 0 is 1. Just quickly, the reason behind that. So if I had 4/5 to the power of 1 divided by 4/5 to the power of 1, when you divide indices, you take away the powers. 1 take away 1 is 0. So 4/5 divided by 4/5, if we did that, work that out, 0.8 divided by 0.8, or 2 divided by 2, or 3 divided by 3, or 4 divided by 4, that's 1. And so when we've got the power of 0, that must mean 1 as well. 125 to the power of minus a third. So the third means cube root. The cube root of 125 is 5. And then we do the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 5 is 1/5. 1/5. So 5 is the same as 5 over 1. So if we flip it over, that will be 1/5. So the answer is 1/5. Question 4. 8 over 27 to the power of 2/3. So it's a cube root and then square. So cube root of 8 is 2. Cube root of 27 is 3. And then square it. So square the top, square the bottom, 4/9. Okay, some for you to try. So give these a go. Question 1, 81 to the power of minus a half. So it's a square root and flip. That will be 1/9. 64 over 49 to the power of minus 3 over 2. So we're square rooting, cubing, and flipping. So square root is going to be 8/7. And then we've got minus 3. So what's 8 over 7 cubed? So we've got... Let's flip it first. Go 7/8. But then we've still got to cube it. So 7 times 7 times 7 is 49 times 7, which is 57s are 350. Take away a 7. 343. And then 8 times 8 is 64. Times 8 again. So 64 times 8. 8 4s are 32. 8 6s are 48. Add on the 3, 51, so 512. Question 3, 3/5 to the power of negative 2, so square and flip. So that's 25 over 9. And 0.25 to the power of 0 is 1. This time we've got some letters as well. We've got, for question 1, 4a squared over 81. So it's square root and then cube. So square root of 4a squared is 4a. 2a. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of a squared is a. Square root of 81 is 9. So that's square root. And then cube. So that's going to be 8a cubed over 9 cubed. So that's 81 times 9. So 19 is 9. 9 times 8 is 72. So 729. Question 2, 4/9 t to the power of 4 to the power of a half. So what we can do with this is do it separately. So square root the 4/9, which is 2/3. And when we have powers in a bracket, a power to a power, we can just times the powers. So 4 times a half is 2. So we've got 2/3 t squared. Question 3, 121x to the power of 5 to the power of minus a half. So for 121, we'll do them separately again. We're going to square root and then flip. Square root of 121, that's 11. Flipped, 1/11. And then with the powers, we can just multiply them. So 5 times minus a half is minus 5 halves, minus 5 over 2. We could also have 1 over 11x, the power of 5 over 2. They mean the same thing. And we've got a flip and a cube root for this last one. The cube root of 216, that's 6. So it's going to be 6. We could cube root p to the power of 9 and then flip it after, or we could just multiply the powers, either one. So if I cube root it first, so 9, a third of 9 is 3. And then flip it, 1 over 6 p cubed. You might also get 1/6 p to the power of negative 3, which is okay as well. Okay, 4 for you to try, so give them a go. So the first one is a cube root and a flip. So I'm going to cube root everything first, so that's the power of a third. Cube root 64 is 4. b to the power of 9 cube rooted, a third of 9 is 3. And cube root 125 is 5. Then we can flip it, 5 over 4 p cubed. You can also have 5 over 4 p to the power of negative 3. The second one's just a square root. So square root 49 is 7. Square root of t to the power of 4 is t squared. This one we've got a cube root and a square. Let's do the numbers first. Square root 8 is 2. 2 squared is 4. Cube root of 27 is 3. 3 squared is 9. And I'm just going to times the powers. So 4 times 2/3 is 8/3. And finally, we've got a cube root and a flip. I'll cube root it all first. So we're going to have 5g squared. And then we'll flip. So 1 over 5g squared. A fifth times g to the power of negative 2 is also okay. And one more set of questions. This time we've got it written as roots, and we need to change them back into powers. So square root a is the same as a to the power of a half. Cube root a is a to the power of a third. How can we add them together? When we multiply indices, we add the powers. So what's a half plus a third? We can, if we're doing it without a calculator, make the denominators the same. So 3/6 plus 2/6, 5/6. And question 2. So we've got the square root of a cubed, which means a to the power of 3 over 2, times the cube root of a squared, times a to the power of 2 over 3. When we multiply indices, we add the powers. So we've got 3 over 2 plus 2 over 3. We'll make the denominator 6 again. So that's 9/6 plus 4/6, which is 13/6. So 13/6. Question 3, we've got the cube root of a to the power of 4. So that's the cube root's the bottom one. The 4 is the to the power of 4 over a to the power of a half. Square root's a half. This time we're taking away the powers. We're going to have 4/3 take away a half. Again, make the denominators 6. 8/6 take away 3/6 is 5/6. Okay, 3 for you to try. So give them a go. So the first one, we've got a to the power of a half, and then we've got the fourth root of a, which is a to the power of a quarter. When we multiply indices, we add the powers, so a half plus a quarter is 3/4. Number 2, we've got a to the power of 5/2 times a to the power of 4/3. We need to add the powers, so we're going to have 15/6 plus 8/6, and that's going to be 23/6. A to the power of 23/6. Question 3, we've got a to the power of 3/2 over a to the power of a quarter. So we've got 6/4, take away 1/4, that would be 5/4. Here's another set of questions. The question says solve, and the first one is a to the power of minus a half equals 8. When we solve an equation, we need to do the same thing to both sides. So to get rid of a power of a half, we do the opposite of a power of a half. The opposite of a square root is squaring. So we could square both sides. So if I squared both sides, I'll have a to the power of minus a half squared equals 8 squared. When we have a power to a power, we just times the powers. Half of 2, they cancel out. That's why we did it. So we get a to the power of minus 1 is equal to 64. And then we need to flip both sides. So a is 1/64. So if we have both sides to the power of minus 1, we'll have a to the power of 1, which is just a equals 1/64. So that is our answer. Question 2, we've got b cubed is 125. To get rid of a cube, we do the opposite of cubing. So we cube root both sides. So if we have both sides to the power of a third, we just get b is 5. Question 3, c to the power of negative 2 equals 4/25. So to get rid of a power of negative 2, we can have both sides to the power of minus a half. So c to the power of minus a half is 4/25. C to the power of negative 2 is 4/25. Have both sides to the power of minus a half. Negative 2 times minus a half is just 1, so it's just c. And we're square rooting and flipping. So c must be 5/2. And question 4, we need to do the opposite of minus 3/2. So how can we undo that? We can undo it by raising both sides to the power of minus 2/3. So we'll just get d to the power of 1, which is what we want. So that's 8/27 to the power of minus 2/3. That's a cube root, a square, and a flip. So cube root is 2/3, squared is 4/9, flipped is 9/4. 3 for you to try, so give them a go. Question 1, we've got a to the power of minus a third equals 4. So we need to raise both sides to the power of -3. So we'll have a is 4 cubed is 64. The reciprocal of 64 is 1 over 64. The second one, b cubed is 64. So we need to do the cube root of both sides. So b must be 4. The number 3, c to the power of -2 is 25. So we need both sides to the power of -1/2. So square root is 5, flip 1/5. And d to the power of -2/3 is 9 over 4. So we need -3 over 2. We need both sides to the power of -3 over 2. So it's square root, cube, and flip. So square root 3 over 2, cube 27 over 8, and flip 8 over 27. One more question. So we've got solve 2 root 2 equals 4 to the power of x plus 2. So we can change both of these sides into powers of 2. So 2 is 2 to the power of 1. And that's multiplied by root 2, which is 2 to the power of 1/2. And it's equal to 4, which I can change to 2 squared. So 2 squared to the power of x plus 2. And we've got a power to a power. We can multiply the powers. So 1/2 is 3 over 2. So 2 to the power of 3 over 2 equals 2 to the power of, expanding this bracket, 2x plus 4. Now, because it's an equation, both sides must be equal. So these two powers must be equal. So we can ignore the 2's on the base and just say the powers must be the same. So to get x by itself, we'll take 4 away from both sides. So 3 over 2. I'm going to double everything first so we don't have to deal with fractions. No. Double 3 over 2 is 3, and that's equal to 4x plus 8. Just so I don't have to deal with fractions, then I'm going to take 8 away from both sides and divide by 4. So x is -5 over 4. One for you to try, so have a go at that one. So this time we're going to write them both as powers of 3. So we've got 1 over 3 to the power of 1/2 equals 3 squared to the power of x minus 1. So 1 over 3 to the power of 1/2 can be written as 3 to the power of -1/2. And that's equal to 3, and I'm timesing these powers, to the power of 2x minus 2. So the two powers must be equal. -1/2 must be equal to 2x minus 2. Double everything to get rid of the fraction. Plus 4 to both sides. And divide by 4. So x is 3/4.